I think it's crystal clear that the future of tourism is linked with tours and activities. We're seeing a lot of companies entering the space, whether that's banking, whether that's bookings, Airbnbs. Human nature is to go and discover and travel, and now it's easier than ever. And so tours and attractions, tours and activities are going to be part of that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Travel Trends. This is your host, Dan Christian, and I hope you all enjoyed the multi-day tour series that we just wrapped up in partnership with our friends over at Tour Optima. And next week, we're going to be starting our River Cruise series brought to you by our friends over at Captio. So thanks again to all our partners for supporting us. And today, we're actually going to be speaking to one of the companies that's going to be a title sponsor of Season 6. And I actually asked them to be a part of Season 5 because this company, Civitatis, has been going from strength to strength over the last decade. They were actually founded in 2008 in Madrid, and they were focused on the Spanish market. They have raised over $100 million. In fact, they raised about $50 million just in the last year from one of their key investors, Vitruvian Partners, who clearly is very committed and focused on the potential growth, which has been pretty astounding when you look at the numbers. I mean, they have already taken more than 30 million travelers around the world. They had 10 million last year. They've been growing by 30%. They're growing in places like Japan and New York and Rome, and of course, also Madrid. And the team has been focused on introducing local tours and activities for Spanish speakers, but they're continuing their global expansion. When you look at the growth potential they have in Mexico and Latin America, you can see why they've gotten the funding and they're continuing to see the growth. And as their CEO also highlighted, that they've actually been profitable since day one. So they have been using this funding to be able to rapidly grow. And they've invested significantly in technology. That's certainly one of the big factors of their success. But clearly across the journey, it's really all been about a strong focus on customer satisfaction. And one of the things that I talked to Ismael about is their commitment to sustainability. It really has been a core focus of their business, and their commitment is very real and sincere. And so today I wanted to get a full understanding, speaking to Ismael, about the background of Civitatis and where this company is continuing to grow and evolve, since a lot of these OTAs or online travel agencies have been where many partners in our industry are looking to connect with and distribute their tours. And given that they have such a strong platform that is very focused on the user experience, and I'll give you an exact example, and you'll hear this come up in our conversation. When you're looking at Rome and you're trying to figure out what tour of the Colosseum to do, they don't give you 150 options. They give you the 3 options that are best suited to what your experience should be. And I think this is where they've been putting a focus on the guest experience, and that is an optimal user experience. I think that's one of the reasons that they now have 93,000 activities across more than 4,000 destinations. And so that's one of the big reasons I wanted to bring Ismael onto the show and have this conversation with him. So get ready for many highlights. And don't forget, we do share clips on all our social channels. So you'll be able to find highlights from this conversation on Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Travel Trends Podcast. We'll be right back. Attention travel operators, destination management companies, and accommodation providers. Managing payments doesn't have to be a source of stress. Meet Flywire, the modern payments platform built specifically for the unique needs of the travel industry. With Flywire, you can collect payments from travelers worldwide with ease. Enjoy faster payouts in your preferred currency, reduce payment fees, and offer your guests flexible, localized payment options they're familiar with. Not only does Flywire simplify your operations, but it also helps elevate your guest experience and boost your bottom line. That means you can stop worrying about payments and focus on what you do best, creating unforgettable travel experiences. Discover how Flywire can help your business save time, save money, and deliver truly seamless transactions. Visit flywire.com/traveltrends to learn more. That's flywire.com/traveltrends. Attention travelers and travel advisors. Are you looking to elevate your travel experience beyond the ordinary? Then you have to say hello to our good friends at Colette, where guided travel gets a premium upgrade. For over 100 years, Colette has been crafting expertly guided tours that go beyond the stereotypes. With over 170 tours across all 7 continents, Colette offers something for every type of traveler. From culturally immersive small group journeys to single city stays and even river cruises. And with their industry-leading travel protection plan, you can cancel for any reason up to 24 hours before departure. Plus, when you book air with Colette, they even offer a private chauffeur service to and from the airport. Discover why travelers love Colette and why guided travel is thriving. Join the evolution of travel today at gocolette.com. Your next adventure awaits. That's gocolette.com. And now, back to the show. Now, let's bring in Ismael to this conversation. Ismael, it's so great to have you on Travel Trends. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
For sure. I'd love to start further to the introduction with your background in tourism, because certainly you've worked with a number of travel brands before. You've also been a teacher. I think you've got such a unique skill set to bring as the CMO for Civitatis. But tell us a bit about your background and how you got into tourism and the travel industry in the first place.
Sure. Well, as you said, I've worked for many companies and specializing in tech startups, two-sided marketplaces, and event ticketing industry. So more like live events, concerts, theater plays, in that kind of industry. And at some point in my career, one of the startups launched a project where we started aggregating third-party inventory. And the most obvious start was with APIs from travel tech companies. And so that was back in 2018 in a startup called Ticketea. We started aggregating that inventory. And I was amazed to see the opportunities that we had in that space, right? Like we were really bringing value to users, and I really liked that. And so 6 years later, when Civitatis and I got in touch, it was a direct match to me. I tried the product back in 2018. I had an amazing experience with Civitatis in Budapest, and I still remember having an issue that was solved by customer care. And so that kind of experiences stick with you as a user, and so it really made the difference. And Civitatis for me was really an easy decision, and it was more than an easy decision. It was really something I wanted to do in my life.
Yeah, no, it's a great company, so perfect decision. And I think even your role just before that at Eventbrite, where you were the global head of growth marketing. Most of our listeners, of course, are familiar with Eventbrite. I mean, pretty much everyone has been to an Eventbrite event, so they're familiar with the brand. And the fact that you were, there for 5 years before Civitatis, and that is I guess a very well-known global brand. And that's part of what I want to discuss today, because I'm actually very familiar with Civitatis and have a great respect for the company and what you've built and really where you're headed, because you're very unique in the sense that you guys are a Spanish, based in Madrid, a Spanish-speaking OTA or online travel agency. But I think I want to make sure all of our listeners can wrap their head around who Civitatis is, what you guys do. So if you wouldn't mind, actually, I know you weren't there at the very beginning, but if you wouldn't mind actually taking us back for those that are not familiar, to tell us about Civitatis and the journey that the company's been on.
Sure. So Civitatis is the leading curated marketplace for tours and activities in Spanish, right? So we now have more than 90,000 activities in more than 4,000 destinations across 160 countries, right? But it wasn't the case when it was founded. Alberto Gutierrez, the founder, in 2008, started working with travel guides to earn some pocket money to travel, actually. And so his mindset was more, hey, I'm going to create a few blog posts, a few blogs that are going to rank on Google, and I'm going to earn some affiliation money, right? So affiliate marketing was kind of the gem, the spark. But then suddenly one day he received a message from a supplier in Prague that wanted to advertise on his websites, on his blog, and the guy really wanted to do some normal advertising. Alberto, being an engineer, thought, okay, I think I can deliver a better option for you. And so instead of including a banner on the website, Alberto, with his different mindsets, found a new solution. He instead published the tour and generated direct bookings for this provider, right, which was in Prague. And so publishing the tour, he started generating real revenue and bringing real value to this supplier. So that's how really Civitatis started. And for almost 6 years, Alberto was working on his own. I did everything, writing the websites, focused on SEO, customer care, contacting new suppliers, finances, etc., etc. And after that, he had a small team of 10 people, and now we are nearly 400 people. So that's Civitatis, and how it started. Like you can see, it's really from the ground.
Yeah, no, this is the thing that always fascinated me about the company, and you know, seeing you and the team at various events over the last couple of years. It's the company has been growing and growing. Clearly, there's a massive global Spanish-speaking market, and I really wish that we could be having this conversation in Spanish. I keep working on my Spanish, but it's not quite there yet. But let's make a commitment that one day in the future, we'll maybe do this podcast together in Spanish. But when you think about Civitatis today in 2025, you have that history and that background. But my understanding is you're starting to expand globally outside of Spanish-speaking markets. So tell us a little bit more about that plan and that objective, because clearly you had a great audience to be able to introduce all these experiences to in Spanish-speaking, and still lots of growth opportunity. And I can't think of another. I'm sure there are other competitors in that space, certainly nowhere near on the scale of Civitatis. Mm-hmm. So yeah, tell us a little bit more, if you wouldn't mind, about, I guess, the Spanish-speaking market and those growth plans, and then how you're looking at global growth outside of Spanish-speaking countries, and obviously targeting some English language countries as well.
Sure. So we again, as I was saying, the company restarted by trying to field trips for Spanish-speaking users. We're now offering that to other languages, so it's part of the growth playbook as well. So we have Portuguese, Italian, French, and English-speaking users. The core focus is still on Spanish-speaking users, as you were saying. Spain is worldwide a small market, but LATAM is a big one, right? There are like nearly 700 million Spanish-speaking users that we can basically offer our inventory to. And so the play is really, let's go for Latin American countries. And so when you think about that, you go to Mexico, which is 150 million people. You go to Argentina, you go to Colombia, and others. And obviously, naturally, if you wanna target Latin American users, you're probably gonna go after also Brazil, which is a continent on itself, right, with more than 250 million users. And so that's really how the company started thinking about it. But it's not only about the language, right? One of the things that was really rooted in the company's DNA is, as I was saying earlier, having a top-notch customer care service. And so that customer care service needs to be localized. You need to give the customer care service 24/7, right? Because you have people traveling all around the world in their language. You want to serve them in a manner in which you can solve the issues quite fast. Simplicity is at the core of the company, and the quality of the tools we select through Curation is also a key differentiator for us. And so expanding into new markets, again, is not just about translating copies. It's about adapting paywalls. It's about adapting the inventory you have, the supply you have, right? Brazilians travel a lot internally in the country, or they go a lot to Argentina. They don't have the same routes. They don't have the same corridors than Argentinians will have, and so on, right? And so we need to really work on that inventory that we curate with our team internally. So that's really how we are thinking about this: is expand into new markets, Spanish-speaking first, then Portuguese-speaking, Italian, French, adapting all the services we have to those clients with this unique approach of curating the marketplace. We don't want 1,000 tools for the Coliseum, right? We select the 3 best options for the user.
You mentioned something really interesting there, Ismael, and I want to go back to it, which is you talked about like your unique selling proposition, or what it is that you're offering your customers. And I think this is something that I always find fascinating when I get a chance to speak to a CMO like yourself. And given part of my background, this is where I love marketing, and I love speaking to other really clever marketers that need to work out what is it about this business that is special or unique, and how can I communicate that to get new customers or keep people coming back? And so I would love for you to actually share some details on that. And I guess what I'd specifically ask you, clearly there was this incumbent advantage of being kind of one of the largest and leading Spanish speaking platforms. And now you're obviously entering, multiple language markets, and you have really unique activity offerings. I know you guys have 24/7 customer service, and you've got millions of reviews. You've got so many things going for you. When you stack yourself up against the competition, and I'm not going to list them all because there's obviously a number of other companies that are in the activity space, but I would like to hear, if you wouldn't mind sharing for us and our listeners, what is it that really sets Civitatis apart from all the other online travel agencies that are out there?
Yeah, sure. So what sets us apart, and that is increasingly more relevant, is that we are that curated marketplace, and we're truly curated, right? The example I gave you is a real example. We have competitors offering more than 1,000 options to visit the Colosseum. We offer three, and we offer three in Spanish for Spanish-speaking users. We offer three in Portuguese for Portuguese-speaking users, right? And so there is a team behind that really makes sure the quality is there. That quality is then also backed by our users' reviews, right? Like you said, we have more than 4 million user reviews with 9.1 out of 10 as a score, right? That means we have quality. When we see inventory or we see suppliers that aren't matching the quality standards that we have, that's a flag that we raise internally. And so we make sure that the quality stays there, either by contacting the supplier and trying to improve the situation, fix those issues that we are seeing or we are being communicated, or directly by finding another supplier. And the curation gives us that opportunity to really work hand in hand with a supplier, right? And so that's very important. Again, customer care, as I was saying, in language 24/7. We're there. We're here for the client, for the traveler. We are like your companions, so right. We make sure we offer a simple experience on site, on the website, through our distribution partners. We make sure the inventory we have is in your language and it's quality, and there is this customer care experience that we really cherish.
There's a specific pain point there, and I've heard it brought up by Douglas at the Douglas Quinbeef at the Arrival Conference about the challenge from a consumer point of view when there's dozens, if not hundreds of options, and you're trying to sift through as a consumer, ones that have the best reviews and the pricing and the availability on the day. So that question about the complexity of consumers navigating marketplaces is a great example of what Civitatis sets you apart, certainly. And what is the problem you solve as a startup that you've grown successfully, and in being mindful of the fact that there's customer pain points out there and you can address them. And that's a reason why people choose Civitatis. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, because I think that's super valuable and highly relevant. The other thing I wanted to dive a little deeper on, given, of course, you are the CMO globally for this brand, and it's got an incredible success trajectory, which I'm sure is exciting for you, just in terms of budget, resources, team. But clearly, obviously, every new business needs to be profitable. You've got to be focused on ROI. And so I would be really keen just to get an overview of how you're marketing the brand globally, and if you can share some of your marketing strategies and priorities for 2025. And part of that, of course, is, the typical customer profile, like who you're trying to reach. And I'll just share this, Ismael, with our listeners as well, because this is where, to bring everyone along on the journey, one of the things that I always found fascinating was, the big OTAs between Expedia and Booking. And Expedia was always great at brand marketing, and Booking was really fantastic at performance marketing. So they really got SEO and SEM. And Expedia was on television and billboards. And ultimately, as they entered each other's markets, as Expedia went to Europe and Booking came to America, they both had to shift their strategies. And one was 70% brand and 30% performance, and one was 70% performance and 30% brand. And both of them have more or less had to start to net out where they actually are half brand and half performance. And so I guess that's where I'm going with this question for you. I'm genuinely keen to know, based on what you can share, about how you are marketing Civitatis globally and some of the secrets to your success, and where you're planning to take it in 2025 and beyond.
So we have this we have this obviously famous local approach, right? Uh, Civitatis is focused on the languages. So obviously we market to the languages we serve and to those users. And Spanish has a particularity, right? We are we are targeting different continents. We're targeting very different cultures, and so we need to really adapt that. And so we created a very strong brand. I think we very visually recognizable. And so that is a really good anchor for us to then go and localize. And so localizing means I go to Colombia, I need to speak the Colombian way. Uh, I go to Mexico, I need to feel like I'm Mexican. And culturally, Mexicans are probably closer sometimes in some regions to US cultures versus Spanish cultures, right? And so even if it's the same language, we need to adapt there. And so that's, again, that's marketing 1.0, and it's the basics, but it matters and it's very important. What I would say is also creating a brand globally is many times and often is seen as work from the marketing team. Uh, Here, what I think is it's also about the product. It's how we localize the product, how we localize payments, is how we localize descriptions, is how we localize the inventory we select for local tours and activities. I was saying, for example, Brazil, lots of people traveling internally in the country. And the destinations, the international destinations are very different from the ones you can find for Argentinians, for example. And so really having that inventory in their language, activities that really resonate with what those cultures are looking for, and adapting the language to all users, right? Content, tours, customer care, it's all there. In terms of the plans for 2025, I think there is a trend that everybody is seeing. Not going to discover anything new here, but it's social media first. Um, Users are searching on TikTok now. They're searching on Instagram. It's not anymore just a discovery or inspiration um, platform. Now people go and search for it. They save it and they really use it to start their experience. And it's very interesting because it complements very well traditional search engines and what we're seeing right now with AI, with more and more people just going and trying to build their journeys through AI. But there is still that first visual video inspiration and search that you wanna see, especially obviously in younger audiences. We're also seeing audiences 50 plus that are using those social media channels. So social media is a key part of the marketing plan for Civitatis. Focuses Spanish, Spain as a market, and then a couple of LATAM countries that we really want to target for next year. And these new markets that where we are expanding, obviously, are helping us reach new customers. And that's a constant challenge, right? Locally, opening those new markets and markets that are in constant digitalization um, are a great source for user acquisition. And so that's really where we are focusing. Again, you are mentioning the split between performance and brand. Civitatis is a company that is always, since its inception, being EBITDA positive. And so we're really looking at where we invest the money and the value it generates. And in parallel, we are creating that brand. In Spain, we have a very strong brand, and we really now need to bring that to Mexico, Brazil, Argentina as colonies.
Yeah, no, I appreciate sharing all of that. It's such important context, and especially when I look at the world in 2025 and thinking through, the next few years with geopolitical events. Certainly, there is a strength in Europe, and there's a huge opportunity in the LATAM markets. I'm already very bullish on Colombia, for example. I happen to sit on the board of a tour operator there, as some of our listeners know, but it was traveling to Colombia that really made the difference to me. When you see a market that is so well primed for traveler growth, it's got the infrastructure in place, it's safe, the people are lovely, the food, the activities, it's got so much to offer. And that's one of several amazing countries in South America that you're then able to capitalize on, especially for Spanish-speaking travelers. That's something that really stands out to me, especially looking at the U.S. market for Spanish-speaking Americans that are more likely to travel to Spanish-speaking destinations, whether it be Puerto Rico or Mexico and certainly South America. So I really appreciate you sharing a number of those insights and highlights of what you're up to. We'll be right back. Are you looking for ways to grow your travel business through paid media and optimized SEO? Then you have to check out our friends at Propellic.com. They are the leading digital agency for growth in travel and tourism. Propellic offers bold digital marketing strategies to ensure your travel company's success. They have a remarkable methodology that has actually been implemented by TravelAI.com, and they are a leading SEO agency globally and offer a range of resources, a podcast of their own, a blog on their website, Propellic.com. That's Propellic.com. And don't forget to mention Travel Trends for your free marketing audit. In today's fast-paced travel industry, businesses face constant challenges, keeping up with new technologies, meeting ever-evolving customer expectations, and promoting products effectively. The real struggle? Managing it all in-house. That's where Travel Tech steps in to transform your business. With over 25 years of experience, Travel Tech is one of the most trusted names in travel technology, offering tailored solutions to fit your unique needs. They make it easy to create seamless, bookable websites, manage and promote products, and automate everyday tasks, giving your team more time to focus on what matters most, your customers. Plus, Travel Tech is the go-to name in cruise technology with cutting-edge solutions for tour operators as well. Plus, Travel Tech has just launched Tech Talk, a new podcast for travel professionals by travel professionals. Explore the stories behind the biggest innovations in travel. Visit traveltech.com/travel trends or tune in to Tech Talk on Spotify and Apple. That's traveltech.com/travel trends and Tech Talk on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Our longtime listeners will be very familiar with TravelAI.com, one of our sponsors from the very beginning. They've sponsored the last 2 seasons and also our AI Summit. You might actually remember they were recently featured in Season 4, the 2 co-founders, John Leotier and Chris Jensen, live from Focusrite, where they shared how their innovative use of AI is reshaping the travel industry. If you missed it, we highly recommend going back to hear their inspiring story of building one of the fastest growing, profitable AI companies in travel, entirely bootstrapped. Travel AI is revolutionizing the industry by blending AI-powered efficiency with personalized, human-centered travel experiences. From micro-segmentation to tailored travel solutions, their mission is to enhance every traveler's journey while setting the pace for travel's future. Here's how you can join the exciting mission. If you or someone you know in tech or AI is looking for a new career that combines innovation and impact, then head to travelai.com or follow them on LinkedIn to explore more opportunities. They are growing fast. Thanks again for your continued support. And now, back to the show. I would love to ask you how you're utilizing AI in marketing, because certainly marketing and technology have been the 2 kind of best use cases for starting to leverage AI. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot with this question, but I'm just genuinely curious, and I'm sure our listeners are too, if how you might be incorporating AI into your marketing activity. And then if you wouldn't mind sharing, as we segue into technology, how you're utilizing AI to scale this business more efficiently, which seems to be one of the major undertakings most companies are leveraging AI for today. So yeah, I'd love to hear how you're looking at that, both in marketing and then as it relates to technology.
Sure. Well, I think in marketing, we are leveraging it in several ways. The first one is going to be on content generation. And so you can now create images, you can now create videos, and we're just at the beginning of this, right? And so this has always been one of the challenges in travel. and especially in experiences, you wanna have great content that doesn't look like Shutterstock uh, images. You need 90,000 activities to be shown, and so there is this huge diversity where it was a real challenge to go and find this content. You cannot generate a lot of that, and so that's the first way in which it really helps solve a real problem. We've always looked at AI as a tool that is going to help reach an end, right? We don't want to use AI for using AI. It needs to really help us bring value to the user. And so, on top of that, after creating and generating that content, whether that's image, video, or text, we also obviously use it through the platforms where we are investing. And so the Googles, the Metas, the TikToks, they are all using AI now to increase audience, improve audience reaching, and also optimization of campaigns. And so all that is obviously tuned. You can imagine um, and promoting 90,000 activities is not done by a human. And so we need to leverage those capacities, and it really helps us deliver campaigns everywhere and optimize those. Um, we just launched a new campaign yesterday. The video, the teaser, is all done through AI as well. And so we're not only talking about performance marketing and just creating some small visuals, we're going that far. And so that's how we're using marketing wise. On top of that, then we are going to use it to obviously generate internal resources, analyze data, and all the efficiencies that you can find through AI tools. That's not specific to marketing, though. In terms of technology, you were asking what we're doing is we're looking at potential improvements in how we find the inventory, how we can improve some of the descriptions, how we can filter images. We have more than 4 million reviews, as you were saying. So we need to find efficiencies. We can't be looking at 4 million images or text contents. And so sentiment and how we use it in the technology here is a clear winner. So again, as I was saying, really need to find those use cases and how AI can solve those. You've got the obvious ones: customer care, content generation, and then how it helps us really solve this curation.
So one of the things I'm also keen to understand, given your background with marketing and technology, is your roadmap. I've been intrigued to see some of the developments that, as a consumer, like the fact you have your destination guides, you've got Civitatis magazine, a blog, and I certainly love the content strategy. And so I'm very keen to know what are some of the other initiatives that we might be looking forward to that you might roll out to better serve Civitatis customers globally.
So we're going to keep obviously expanding our footprints. We're going to keep adding more and quality inventory. A key part of the company is obviously retaining customers, and we do that through all that I said earlier, right? Customer care, quality inventory in your language. But we also see that the mobile app is a key element, especially when you're traveling. You have your mobile phone in your pocket, and so all that is definitely going to be a core focus for the company, as well as really looking at how we can expand what users are experiencing when they are in destination, right? So a lot of focus on retention and on the mobile app. We're obviously gonna keep looking at new trends. We're gonna keep working on our SEO, performance marketing, AI kind of recommendations that could happen, and we're gonna keep expanding our B2B2C distribution channels, right? Whether that's travel agencies, hotel partners, airline, other OTAs that we partner with, and the integration of all the inventory that we have, so that we can really offer all that great inventory with enough availability for users. So that's really where I think we can look forward to evolve.
And you mentioned the trends, and that's exactly what I want to get into next, because you have a unique vantage point, both as a global travel executive, but also for a brand that is rapidly scaling, and so you're constantly paying attention to your point about SEO and just really understanding where the market is, and especially when you're launching in new markets as you are and multilingual, you have to be that much more conscientious of the trends and trying to be at the right place at the right time when all of a sudden you see a shift. This is the part I love about our industry, is that travelers continue to travel even despite downturns. And if anything, when there's a contraction in the market, or if there is instability in the market, it becomes that much more important to be able to read the signals and have conversations with colleagues, or listen to a podcast like this, or be able to read reports to understand what traveler behavior is shifting. So what are the major global trends that you're paying attention to, whether it be destinations? Obviously, we've talked a bit about that, travel styles, sustainability. What are some of the things that you're paying close attention to that you want to build your marketing strategy and business strategy around?
I think the main trend that we've been seeing for years now is experience matter, and destinations are oftentimes selected based on the experience you can live when you are in destination, right? And so we are seeing that, and even though then on the customer journey, it's the usual is I'm going to book my flight and my hotel, and then my attractions, tours, or activities that I'm going to do in destination. We're seeing that last part that is booked is usually now and more the driver of the decision. The others are obviously a commodity, but what really matters and stays with the person is what they do when they are there. And that is very, very powerful, because we're seeing more and more DMOs also looking at our platforms to help inspire users to come and visit their countries, right? It's not only just about come to Colombia, it's about come to Colombia and go to Medellin 13 and experience that experience there, right? Then you have social media discovery, inspiration, and search. As I was saying, that's a big trend. Social media and influencers are really helping. They're helping to promote the experience, and they're helping to give a real view. It's not text that you are reading on a blog post. It's real video that you're seeing. In terms of destinations, I think Japan is skyrocketing in the last 12 months. We're seeing that in Europe. We're seeing that in Latin America as well. So a lot of Latin America people just going to Japan. Other destinations are also rising. We're seeing again the Brazil trend. And so that's for the trends I'm seeing globally in terms of travel. Going back to the first point on experiences first, what we're also seeing is that more and more people are digitalizing. There is less people that just wait for the last minutes and to book on site. People want to make sure they have the spots. They want to make sure that they also secure their place, and they have their trip planned. And even if sometimes they end up booking 72 hours before the experience, they've already looked at it, they've already planned it. And one key feature that is very helpful for us is that we give your we have cancellations policy, right? And so we're trying to foster people bookings windows to go earlier in the journey. And we're seeing that more and more people now are booking, like 50% of people are booking with more than 30 days of advance.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And there has certainly been a shift there where we were seeing a lot of last minute. Now people are booking further ahead. And so those are a number of really insightful trends. And I guess the one thing I would like to just go a little bit further on was sustainability. And the reason I want to ask that question, and I always bring this up in my conversations because, pre-COVID, it was not very often the case that people were making a decision for sustainability. A lot of companies were becoming more conscientious, sustainable, but it certainly has been the case post-pandemic, and as people have seen, like over tourism and overheating of various destinations, like the real impacts of climate change, that people have become that much more conscientious. And we've seen companies like Booking.com start to implement, green filters, so you can actually choose accommodation options. And I'm finding more and more signals that indicate that customers are making decisions based on sustainability. It may not always be the first time, but it's often the case. And James Thornton called this out to me, the CEO of Intrepid, and I thought it was really insightful, which is that it's not necessarily the reason people book you the first time, but it's the reason that people keep coming back, because they want to know that you are aligned with their values. And so when I was preparing for our conversation today, I was actually checking out Civitatis' credentials on this topic, and it's actually quite substantial. And I was quite impressed with, both the UN WTO organizations that you're partnered with, because I'm very familiar with them, and specifically the Civitatis Travelers Manifesto, because for me on there, you have things like respecting cultural heritage, you have supporting the local economy, defending human rights, and really promoting a culture of sustainable tourism. So I'd love to ask you a little bit more about that, whether you are building sustainability messaging into your marketing, if you're seeing results from that, if you're building that messaging into repeat guests. So given you have the credentials to back this up, I'm keen to know, I guess, what it is you are doing to market that effectively, and if you're seeing results from it.
Well, yeah, this sustainability and eco-consciousness for travel has been part of the DNA of the company since the inception of it by Alberto. When you think about the first tools he created, he started working with one-man suppliers that were offering tours, and he helped. One of his motivation was to help generate local businesses, right, and create this local wealth and help countries. I don't know, in Morocco, for example, in Africa and in Eastern Europe, help suppliers create businesses that are going to help the local culture and that are going to help generate that wealth locally. And we have a number of amazing cases of people that started conversations with Alberto one-to-one emails and that now have bigger companies and that can now sustain and help the region where they live and those communities. And so this has been part of the company's DNA. So it's very easy for us to go and use it. We not only market it to the consumers, the users, but we also use it as a selection factor in our curation, right? We want to support vulnerable groups. We want to protect the environment. And so we encourage more than 8,000 suppliers worldwide to adapt their jobs to protect the earth, right, and to be very eco-conscious practices. Here in Spain, we are seeing a lot of conversation around this over tourism, and so we make sure that we work with guides that are professional guides that have their licenses and that don't go in huge groups that are going to collapse cities, right? And so this is part of our curation. This is how we really bring this to market, and it isn't just words that we have on a manifesto, but it's really brought to life.
That's great, and I know that's based on the UNWTO, and this is where I think that the mission is clearly aligned, and it's something that resonates with me because that's something that I pay close attention to, because I'm always trying to make decisions that ultimately, when I think about our kids and making sure that we protect the planet for future generations, for me, whenever I do have the option to make that decision, it's not always possible. To the example of traveling to an event on a train versus a plane, sometimes it's just not currently a viable option. But wherever possible, I think more consumers feel much the same way. So I definitely wanted to ask you that. The other thing I wanted to ask you, I got to have one more question on more of a global and future looking. And then I wanted to get a couple of your personal insights and advice for people who are making their way up in the industry, which is such a big component of our audience. So when we think about OTAs 5 years from now, like 2030, which is going to come faster than we know it, and clearly, you've been in this role for a couple of years, and you're shaping this business for the future. And I do see a lot of companies now that kind of have their 2030 or beyond mission of what they want to accomplish. And so I would love to hear what that looks like for Civitatis, and if you wouldn't mind sharing, like, what are some of those kind of major developments, or more specifically, just the future of tourism and specifically OTAs over the next 5 years.
Sure. So I think it's crystal clear that the future of tourism is linked with tourism activities, right? Like, we're seeing a lot of companies entering the space, whether that's banking, whether that's bookings, Airbnbs, a lot of companies that are either already existing in travel or completely outsiders of travel are seeing the value of human nature is to go and discover and travel, and now it's easier than ever. And so tourism attractions, tourism activities are going to be part of that more and more. What we're also seeing is that it's becoming more and more digital, and it's becoming more and more mobile. And so decisions are going to be made based on experiences. There's going to be more players working on it. And at the same time, what really brings value is having companies like ours that are very specific in their market and that make sure that there is this quality concept, because there is a lot of quantity, there is a lot of offering, but users ultimately want to have easy and simplicity at the core of their decision process, right? It's already stressful to go to Rome. You have 100 things to do when you're in Rome. If for each thing you have to do in Rome, you have 1,000 options, it's going to be. So I think curation is going to be a big theme for the coming years. I think our competitors would say the same thing, right? It's a very good news for tourism and for travel tech to have this interest from other players. Some people are going to see it as more competition, but we see it as opportunity, right? Because it's going to help create the category. There is still room to create the category. There is still people that don't think about what they're going to do when they are in destination. They just realize when they land, they are in their hotel, and it's like, oh, right, what am I going to do now? And so there is still an opening market there. I think, again, AI is going to have a huge impact. It's going to help solve more problems. And so we can see AI-created companies, incumbents that are going to help solve those issues and help go faster. I still think, and we still think, that at Civitatis, the human intelligence, the human touch is going to be key, right? We're not going to solve everything through AI, especially in travel when you're going to be traveling and you want to feel that local culture. You're going to have, you want to have this local guide that tells you about this spot and why you need to be at this spot at 6:32 because it's the sun is gonna shine on this monument and it's gonna take a pink color, right? All those things, that human touch is still gonna happen, but it's obviously gonna be made much more efficient by AI.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight too exactly what you're saying, which is that there is a very bright future ahead for the travel industry. I think many of my listeners are familiar with me quoting stats about demographics, which still excites me. That we're going to see a doubling of travelers between 2024. The last numbers last year was about 400 million to 800 million in 2050, and you just think about the growth year over year, and there's clearly going to be specific verticals that are going to see an even greater growth because of consumer behavior changes, to your point about people actually being more interested in experiences, deeper immersion in local destinations. So the companies that are actually not only benefiting from the demographic shifts, they're also benefiting from changing consumer interests. And that's where I'm certainly bullish on Civitatis, and it's kind of gets reconfirmed and validated that for me today, having this conversation together. So I just had a couple last questions, and then I want to make sure that people know how to follow up with you or connect with the team. And obviously, we'll be staying in close touch as well. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you, given the way that your career, that you've risen to this level of prominence, and well deserved, and that was clear on our discussion. But for the younger you, and this is always what I'm, I guess, mindful of whenever I'm interviewing. I'm always trying to think of myself 20 years ago, as I was riding my bike in a lonely planet, listening to podcasts of like, what were the questions I would like to ask that could improve my role today, either my career or the company I'm working with or for, to be able to be more successful. So I'd love for you to be able to share whether it's one or two pieces of advice for aspiring professionals looking to join this industry or advance in this industry. What has been some of the keys to your success that you would like to share with a wider audience?
Sure. I think the first one is passion, right? Find something where you're passionate about, whether that's marketing, whether that's IT, whether that's travel. But and it looks like a very generic thing, but you're gonna wake up every morning for a few years, and so make it your passion, or work in something that passionates you already. That would be the first one. The second is find the wave and surf the wave, right? I'm a Google AdWords son. I started doing marketing back in 2007. I discovered Google AdWords and I was like, and SEO, and I was like, wow, okay, this is amazing. Like I can do this and that. Let's just go and find more information about it, and just trying to find industries and companies that are very good on that wave, right? And you have a lot of waves. They come and they go. You had the AdWords wave, you had the community managers wave, talking about marketing. And so find that wave that is trending now. And if it fits your passion, just go and learn. You don't need to do universities. You don't need to do a lot of studies. Everything is on the internet. And I think you can learn a lot by just doing, right? Like test, learn, repeat, test, learn, and just like do things. And so I think that is my advice. Surf that wave, and when you surf that wave, which is also one way I built my career, which was like, hey, I'm interested in AdWords. I'm gonna learn about AdWords, and then okay, I'm gonna start learning about SEO. Oh, right, cool. Oh, SEO. Oh, there is a lot of people ranking here. Oh, those people don't have a business. Oh, they are affiliates. Okay, I'm gonna learn about our affiliate marketing. Oh, right. Okay, I've now I have now converted a lead into a buyer. Okay, how can I make that buyer repeat? Oh, email marketing, right? Push notifications, and so just trying to build your career. Don't try to focus on the whole thing, but I think T-shaped careers are interesting. So enter one spot deep, learn about it, and then you can expand.
That's terrific advice. And I'm going to just underline why I think so for our audience is that what essentially you're recommending, first of all, is to take initiative. And that resonates with me because if I look at both of our backgrounds and our career trajectories, there's one thing that we certainly have in common, which is that we came up as performance marketers in an age of where it was primarily brand marketing. And I think that's one of the reasons that both of us disrupted established marketing, because we saw something that was truly cause and effect, direct response with performance marketing. And that certainly has changed the whole game of marketing. And so that's a great example you mentioned is take initiative because, actually roll up your sleeves and learn how to do paid search. The same now applies for leveraging AI tools and the people that are coming up and the amazing talent I'm seeing kind of behind us, if you will, that are coming up, that are taking these tools and leveraging them and being able to rethink how we market and reach customers. That's really exciting. And the other thing you mentioned too about riding the wave, I really smiled with that one because that to me is like, you have to go where the opportunity is, where there's a swell, and this is where I'm excited for both of us that, at the stage in our careers where we've already spent, 20 years in this space or thereabouts, like the next 20 years are going to be that much more exciting based on the growth potential. We'll be right back. Did you know that over 20% of people who purchase a ticket will upgrade to a refundable option when given the choice? By offering Refund Protect, you make it easy for your customers to protect their ticket purchase against emergency circumstances like illness, injury, accidents, and more. Whether you're an airline, hotel group, tour operator, ticketing platform, OTA, or transport solution, when you partner with Protect Group, your customers get peace of mind and you generate extra revenue. With a Trustpilot score of 4.8 stars and over 31,000 reviews, they treat your customers as their own, earning the highest customer ratings in the industry. To find out more, check out Protect Group at protect.group. That's protect.group. Hey travelers, are you looking to book your next adventure? Then you have to meet our good friends at Flight Centre, the travel-obsessed experts ready to make your next dream trip a reality. For over 40 years, they've been opening up the world to travelers from the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and now Flight Centre Canada is celebrating an incredible milestone, 30 years of helping Canadians explore the globe. From their first store in Vancouver in 1995 to becoming the official travel agency partner of the Toronto Raptors this year, they've been at the forefront of delivering travel experiences. At Flight Centre, travel is more than a passion. It's their expertise. From flights and accommodations to cruises and tours and even business travel, they handle it all. Whether it's crafting a tailor-made trip or tackling group bookings, they've got you covered. Plus, with exclusive perks like their new Bundle and Save, $500 on tour and cruise packages, there's never been a better time to plan your getaway. From the smallest getaways to the biggest bucket list trips, your travel goals are just a call or a click away. Visit flightcentre.ca/travel trends to explore the latest deals, learn about emerging travel trends, and start planning your next trip. Hey, Travel Trends listeners, I've got a question for you. How much money is your website actually leaving on the table right now? One of our episode sponsors, Stay22, has just dropped a new tool that's kind of a no-brainer, and it's called the Stay22 Revenue Calculator. It shows you in seconds how much you could be earning with their AI-powered monetization tech. No extra ads, no clutter, just clean additional revenue. Publishers are already seeing up to 40% more RPM without changing their setup. So go check out stay22.com/travel trends and hit revenue calculator. That's stay22.com/travel trends and check out their revenue calculator. You might be leaving more on the table than you think. And now back to the show. So my final question for you, tell us favorite destination and maybe one of the experiences that really stands out to you that people should check out.
I think favorite destination, I'm gonna bring it home. I'll say Switzerland. I was born and raised there, and I always enjoy going there and enjoying whether that's winter or summer. You always find lakes, mountains, hikes to do, and so I'm gonna say that one. And then in terms of things to do, my other destination that is very close to my heart is Canary Islands. I try to go there every year. I'm going there in a few days. And the experience I really enjoyed there was doing a night walk and looking at the stars from El Teide, which is the highest mountain we have in Spain. It's a volcano, and so very amazing sets. Looking at the sunset and then looking at all the stars from one of the world's best points to watch stars.
Amazing. That's awesome. Nicely inspiring. That's fantastic. I've so enjoyed this conversation, Ismael. I'm looking forward to getting more time together in person over the course of this year and seeing you in Barcelona in June at the Focusrite conference. And but I want to make sure that people can connect with you and also get in touch with Civitatis, because I'm sure there's lots of people that are just coming to know your business and your brand that would like to partner with you or to take one of your travel experiences. So if you wouldn't mind finishing off by telling us where to connect with you and learn more about Civitatis.
Sure thing. So you can connect through LinkedIn. I'm available there and very happy to answer. If you want to send me an email or reach out, it's pretty easy. It's ismael@civitatis.com. If I can't answer you, I will make sure your email lands where it needs to land.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure you'll have a few people sending their CV over saying, I want to work with you guys. And it's literally something that we've seen, which I think is wonderful, is that, and I know what that was like myself as you're coming up and you see people that you're like, oh my God, I could learn from you. You could be a great mentor. And all of a sudden you start getting applications. So I'm sure that will be one of the outcomes. And for those of you who are listening to that and having that thought, go for it. This is the opportunity. Reach out to Ismael. He's, as you've heard, a fantastic leader and onto something really exciting with Civitatis. And I'm sure their team's going to be expanding. So, they already have now 400 team members. But yeah, I can't thank you enough for making this possible. I look forward to keeping in touch and wish you and the team continued success.
Thank you, Dan. The pleasure was mine, and it was a real honor to be with you at Travel Trends.
Thanks so much for joining us on this latest episode of Travel Trends. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Ismael García, the CMO of Civitatis. And one of the things I just wanted to highlight when you look at the team behind Civitatis, it really is a very impressive group of individuals that clearly have fun working together, and there's a strong team dynamic. Very focused on collaboration, which is exactly why companies like this thrive when they're focused on technology and the guest experience. Reminds me very much of working with the team at We Road. And if you look at the About Us section of the website, you'll see exactly what I mean. And then when you think about what they've come up against, where there are so many challenges to running a global business at this scale. There's, of course, cultural barriers, language barriers, there's logistical complexities, and there's massive competition in this space, which is why it is so remarkable to see their growth and how well Civitatis is standing out in the marketplace. And the other factor that many people don't see is the regulatory compliance that's involved in running a global business at this scale. So when you think about all those challenges, it's just that much more remarkable to look at a success story like Civitatis and to be able to champion their growth and potential. So I'm thrilled that we're going to get a chance to partner with them with season 6 of our podcast. So you'll hear more about them over the course of next season, which will start in September. But I also wanted to highlight to all of our listeners that we just announced our AI Summit V2 that will be going live the end of October. You can pre-register now on our website at traveltrendspodcast.com. We'll have early bird tickets ready for sale shortly, and we'll be announcing the speakers and the content for those couple of days. So don't miss out on that opportunity. And then, of course, we're traveling a lot in the next few weeks. I'm in Miami next week at the Aviation Fest. I'll be at the Adventure Travel and Trade Association in Denver at the end of May, and then Focusrite in Europe in June. So definitely reach out if you're going to be at any of those events, and I'll look forward to meeting you there. But thanks again to Civitatis and to Ismael García, and I look forward to having you all join us next week as we kick off our River Cruise series, and we are going to be speaking to Ragnar, the founder of Captio. And I can tell you, this is one of my highlights of season 5. So I can't wait for you to listen to my conversation with Ragnar. I'm convinced that he needs to co-host some episodes in the near future. And so I'm thrilled. He's a big fan of the show and we've become great friends. And it was really terrific to be able to have that conversation with him, which we'll bring to you next week. So make sure you are subscribed on the streaming platform of your choice to be notified when new episodes go live. And until next week, safe travels.